Hello, this is Wmpyr here to talk to you guys about self-defense against a knife attack. And yeah, the reason why I decided to make this video was because recently I saw a video on YouTube of an instructor teaching defense against a knife attack. And there were some things that the instructor said and some things that the instructor showed that kind of bothered me. So I needed to get this information out. So this guy right here, this gentleman, is ex-CIA. He is on YouTube. And right here, he's showing a defense against a knife, right? So what you're seeing here is he's grabbing the arm. He's grabbing the arm with both hands, right? Now, I've seen two schools of thoughts here. Number one is where they say you want to grab their arm. That's number one. The second school of thought is do not grab their arm. Grabbing their arm is not secure and therefore it's going to get you killed. Okay. For me personally, I am with the first school of thought, which is you need to grab the arm. Why do we need to grab the arm? Because we need to control that arm that has the knife. We need to grab that arm because if we don't, they are free to use it to stab us and cut us. So it's really super simple. You got to grab the arm and control it. Because if you don't grab it, you're going to get killed. It's really, really, really simple. Now, there are some people that say grabbing the arm is not secure. So you can see right here, the ex-CIA guy right here is grabbing the arm with two hands, right? It's much more secure than grabbing it with one hand. For me, what I teach is there's something above this, something more secure than this right here. So do I teach that? Yes. And therefore, do I not teach grabbing the arm? No, I teach grabbing the arm. If there's something more secure than grabbing the arm, why do we do this at all? Well, the reason is because it goes in steps. All right. So yeah, I have something more secure, but I don't just teleport there. So you got to start with grabbing the arm. And case in point, I'm going to show you guys something. This to me is a really good example. This right here. So this is John Jones versus Daniel Cormier. The top photo is what I call the patty cake, where you are hand to hand, as you can see right there. Okay. The second photo, he grabs the arm. Okay. Yes, it's a single-handed arm, a single-handed grab, right? But it's still grabbing the arm. And then the third is he's punching. And if you look at the second and third photos, a lot of people will say, well, that's a pak sao. People will say, if you want to know what Wing Chun is like done in real life, what trapping is like in real life, then look no further. And yeah, I mean, I can totally see that. I don't disagree with that. Okay, you could see it right here. This is pak sao, or pretty much the same idea as a pak sao in full contact. Okay. Now, that being said, to me, the last part, the punch, it didn't have to be a punch. It could have been an elbow. It could have been a kick. It could have been a knee. Or he could have used it to close in the distance and then go into a clinch, a body lock of some sort. So the punch to me is the least important part. That's in this particular case, you can see John Jones really using his reach and he's sneaking in that punch. Like I said, that's just one tool. It could have been any number of other techniques. What's important is what made that possible was grabbing the arm. Okay, that is what made it possible. Why is he grabbing the arm? Because he doesn't want to get hit by it. Because he's controlling that arm to create an opening so that he could land a punch. Okay, the idea is land your shots without you getting hit. And that's exactly what he's doing. That's the sweet science of boxing. Hit them and not get hit, right? And this grabbing the arm, essentially this MMA Paksao is allowing that. So John Jones really is the guy that to me is like the modern day Bruce Lee, or Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do in the UFC. If you want to see what that's like, watch John Jones. When people say that, they usually refer to the oblique kick, the knee stomp technique that he does, and also the open fingers to the eyes, which is essentially a finger jab that Bruce Lee talks about. But here, as you can see, this trapping type of technique is another reason that kind of cements to me John Jones as the Jeet Kune Do stylist in MMA. But anyway, let's focus on the first photo, which is the patty cake. The patty cake is where you are trying to outmaneuver the person's hands. You're not trying to catch a punch like this. You're trying to outmaneuver it. You're trying to check it. It's a check, okay? And you're trying to set it up while they're in the fighting stance. You're slowly inching in. I know DC, Daniel Cormier, does the same thing. I've seen him do it in fights where he's palming the other guy's hands. The other guy maybe just throwing several jabs to not just to hurt, but throwing jabs to gauge the distance, and DC will start palming that hand, that punch, that jab, and start getting into this kind of position, which once again, I call it the patty cake. So from here, this patty cake type position, they did it several times in the match. Now that didn't immediately lead to photo 2, so don't take this as a frame by frame because it's not, but they patty caked several times. And the patty cake will help making grabbing the arm easier. Okay, it does help with that. Okay, so in this particular instance, if I'm not mistaken, it didn't. But like I said, the patty cake was done several times. So anyway, let's go back to this. And what's important to me here is, he's showing you how to do it, but he's teaching it to you. He's not showing you like, okay, so now I'm going to have this lady come at me full force with a knife, and then I'm going to apply my techniques full force against her. No, he doesn't do that. So we have no idea what it's going to really look like in real life, what it really looks like. Okay, he's giving you a very, on the surface example of what to do. He's trying to make it as realistic as possible without hurting her and also himself getting hurt. But there's only so much you can do. What I like about this example is we could actually see the arm grab making a difference in full contact. So this is a very important resource. But anyway, let's go back to this. Grabbing the arm. So the instructor that I saw said, don't grab the arm because it's not secure. Even if it's not secure, it can be plenty effective. I think this shows that. Okay, it could still be plenty effective. It could still keep you safe. It can still be utilized greatly. So here, you grab onto the arm, but if you don't grab the arm and go for something secure, like a body lock or something like that, okay, it's as simple as doing experiments. And over the years with my students, I've experimented. We've done experiments, and I found that, if you don't grab the arm, the failure rate is extremely high. So I was basically stabbed to death, or I took really bad cuts, very, very bad cuts that could have sealed my fate. So that told me that the arm grab is valuable. believe me, I wanted to skip the arm grab. I was like, you know, that's kind of a specific thing to try to grab that arm. And it's not, the opportunity is not always there. So I really wanted to skip it, but I found out that it's just way too dangerous. It is, the failure rate was way too high. Okay. And what do I mean by way too high? Well, 50-50 is not something that I think would be a good success rate. So it's like, okay, I do the technique 100 times and 50 of those times failed, but 50 of those times succeeded. That's 50-50, right? I don't think that's good numbers, but when I experimented, it was a lot worse than 50-50. Way worse. I'm talking like 60-70% at least. So that's how I knew, you know, it wasn't even my choice, because if I went with my choice, I would have skipped the arm grab. But then I was like, I had to accept. I had to look at the results of the experiments and be honest with myself and say, I need to do the arm grab even though I don't like it. So I did. I added that to my arsenal, and I teach it to students. You need to grab the arm. Okay. Now, what about the instructor that said, hey, it's not secure? Like I said, it doesn't have to be secure. And then from here, we could go to secure places if necessary, more secure grabs if necessary. So at least it's a starting point, and as a starting point, you need to do it. Okay. So that instructor saying that it's not secure, that is to me an excuse. Okay. Yeah, it's not secure. So what? Then go to a more secure place, but you have to start from here. Because without this, you can't just immediately teleport to a more secure position. That's what I'm saying. And that's what that instructor is teaching. He's teaching students to immediately go to a more secure position. Now, he demonstrated in sparring that he was able to do that. Why was he able to do it? Because, and watching the video footage, I could tell you guys, is because his students, they were simply feeding him attacks. Okay. Now, if that's all you've ever done, is train with attacks being fed to you, then in the dojo, it's going to work. But out in the street, it's not, because the attacker is not going to feed you an attack. Feed an attack means you're giving it to them. And this guy, even though he tried to show it on video saying, look, we're going to go full contact. Look, we're going to spar. Okay. He didn't say full contact, and it definitely wasn't full contact, but he was like, we're going to spar so you guys can see. You guys can see me pull it off pretty much in real time. And I'm saying, I'm sorry, that is not sparring. I mean, it's not what he's presenting it to be. It's not free sparring, because the student was feeding him the attack. Okay. Why was the student feeding him the attack? Actually, the student attacked him twice, and the first time the instructor failed, and then the second time the student fed the attack. Why? Psychologically, I can only assume that the first time when the instructor failed, the student felt bad. The student didn't want the instructor to look bad on YouTube. The student was protecting what the instructor taught, because the student was like, hey, this instructor's credentials are awesome, and what they're teaching me right here is awesome stuff. I've already decided that it's awesome stuff. So I don't want to tarnish that. I don't want that to be ruined. So the student became part of protecting the techniques, protecting the strategy, protecting the instructor, rather than really testing out the techniques. And when you do that, when you're look, feeding is good for training practice, but if you say you're going to test, you cannot feed. You have to test. Okay? So don't pretend like you're testing when you're feeding. And that is, to me, why the instructor had this skewed view. And I'm calling it as I see it. To me, it's maybe the instructor can from there work, and come up with something good. Okay, so I'm not gonna. That's why I'm not mentioning their names, and I'm not calling out the video, and I'm not here to put them down, because maybe from there they will come up with something good. But for right now, there's a really big hole in what they're saying, and that hole is they're saying don't grab the arm, and I'm telling you right here, like the CIA guy is showing you, grab the arm. Even in MMA, grabbing the arm can be beneficial. Even in MMA, where you don't know if it's going to be the left hand, the right hand, the left elbow, the right elbow, the left kick, right kick, left knee or right knee, or some kind of takedown attempt. You don't know what's coming, but still, even then, with all those things you got to worry about, but here, against the knife person, usually they're fixated on the knife. And even if they do something else, the knife is the main attack here, So this almost simplifies it compared to this. And even in here, the arm grab has shown to be beneficial. So that's all I wanted to say. That's it for now. Thank you for viewing, and take care, folks.